Each month, Annie and I host a deeper dive, which is a live Q&A with an expert in the field of lactation, business, or personal development. The following snippet is from our most recent deeper dive. We hope you enjoy.
Hey there, Leah.
Hey, Annie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We actually got a little cooler weather here
Nice.
in Houston today. So I am like loving it and can't wait to get back outside. It's like a brief reprieve from 100 degrees. So
Very nice.
I'm
Very
going to
nice.
take 88.
Well, we're joined today by someone who is local to you. Kiara Aponte is an occupational therapist, lactation consultant, and certified educator of infant massage. Her special interest in early childhood development, primitive reflexes, and infant feeding inspired Kiara to pursue her IBCLC, as well as specialized training in dynamic movement intervention and Masgutova Neurosensorimotor Reflex Integration, MNRI. She is the founder of WillOTree Baby in Houston, where she utilizes a special perinatal care model that brings together occupational therapy, feeding therapy, and lactation consultation. Through this integrated approach, Kiara offers a holistic solution to common interconnected challenges faced by new mothers and infants, for example, pain, feeding difficulties, delayed milestones, with the goal of promoting shorter episodes of care, improved maternal infant health outcomes, and reduced overall costs for families. Welcome, Kiara.
Thank you so much. I know that was a mouthful. Thank you so much for the introduction. So happy to be here.
We're really excited to have you here. This was a thought that I had when I was thinking about like our skills as lactation consultants and things that we're learning about when we're going through training and everything. And they're often, like other than clinical skills, we're talking about like counseling skills and like
Yeah.
looking at the parent and the parent's interactions and like noticing if we're seeing any signs of like mental health issues, like we go through all these skills with the client in front of us. But then it got me thinking, I'm like, but we have a tiny client in front of us too. And like maybe we need quote unquote counseling skills and some assessment skills more based around not just their like, can you suck? Can you, do the proper things for feeding, but like bigger scope than that about their emotional and nervous system well-being. So that's where I like came across this idea of having you here. And I'm really excited for you to be here today because like I said, this is something that I think is a really important topic. But what do like we do these counseling skills and
Uh-huh.
when we think about the infant, what are some of the ways that we might listen to and support and like counsel the infant? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, like you said, I feel like lactation consulting is one of the few areas where you don't have just the one client. You have multiple, right? And so it can be really easy to get a little too focused in on like the breastfeeding parent. Especially since when we're thinking about mental health and counseling, it's much easier to do that with someone who can communicate with you and tell you how they're feeling, right? But yes, just like you're saying, it's just as important to look at the baby, the infant, and recognize that their mental health is just as important. And even though they can't necessarily communicate the same way, they still are likely trying to communicate with us, right? So, um, I guess with sorry, going back to the question because I got a little off track, but that's more about like what does it mean to listen to the baby, or could you repeat that for her? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So just kind of starting to think about what would counseling skills look
Yeah.
like if we're thinking about kind of taking that same framework where we're counseling the moms or the dads or the
Yeah.
parents, and then like how do we translate that over to the babies that we're working with?
Sure. Yeah. So again, communication isn't exactly the same, but the way that we tend to look at it from the therapy lens is that behavior equals communication, right? And so for an infant, for a baby, their behavior is trying to tell us something. So we can look for different signs to kind of gauge where a baby is at, what their state is, right? Are they in that quiet alert state where they're kind of just hanging out and, maybe making eye contact and engaging? Are they a little bit more active alert or fussy? Um, are they drowsy, sleepy, all these different things, right? And so I think one of the biggest signs that parents and providers tend to think of and see is like, okay, something is wrong, is crying, right? But crying is on the far end of the spectrum, right? So ideally, we can parse out the cues that lead up to that, um, so that we can address it before the peak of excitability. And what that means is just um, crying is that peak, right? So if we can address it before then, we can let baby know that we are hearing them and that we're responding to them, so that they can have a more regulated nervous system. And that leads into like, what the heck does that mean? Right? Um, but generally, when we're thinking about regulation at a base level, we're just looking for um, like calm and ready to engage. Do you have follow-up questions on that I can
Yeah, sorry, I
I guess
realized
dig deeper into
I
that?
was muted and I was about to say something and I was muted.
Sure.
Um, so this is something that I talk a lot just with clients about helping them understand that when their baby is saying like sometimes they'll say, I'm trying to get him to latch on, but he just hates it. Or,
Mhm.
oh, the nurse at the hospital said that she's lazy. Or,
Mhm.
those kinds of like putting labels on their baby's
Yeah.
behavior and just talking about reframing it to say like, no, your baby's telling you they're having a hard time and you're
Yeah.
listening. And
Yeah.
explaining that like the body is how you like just like you're saying, like that behavior is communication, like babies are communicating with their bodies and with their behavior, and we can use our bodies to help
Yeah.
communicate back to the babies that they're safe and that we're there for
100%.
them.
100%. Yeah, I think there unfortunately tends to be this narrative that babies, I don't know, can be malicious. Or yeah, lazy is such an interesting term. But babies are just trying to learn how to be just born into this world, right? And so they really are looking to adults to be able to help them through that, right? And so um, I think you're right. It is a lot of reframing, right? So what is happening before that behavior that that gives us a huge clue into what baby is trying to tell from that behavior, right? Baby is having a hard time. They're not giving you a hard time, right? That's one of those quotes. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think also there tends to be this, and I understand it, um, but almost like uh, parents are taking it personally, right? Baby hates me, like baby, it's me, right? When in reality, obviously, that's not really the case. But baby is very much in tune with your state of being and your nervous system as well, right? And so if parents' heart rate and anxiety is really high, baby's going to feel that, right? And so sometimes in our consults, um, we are holding or handling the baby for whatever reason. Maybe mom needs to sit down and get comfortable or whatever it is. Um, and baby's calm. And then the moment we hand baby back over, um, baby starts getting, antsy and fussy, right? And that could be a multitude of things, right? It could just be, oh, I am back to my parent and I feel safe here and ready to I want to eat. But it also could be, parent is like, I'm anxious and, oh, you did this better. It's you. Right. And so I think a lot of times we have to, in the nicest way possible, explain that to parents, right? By helping them regulate so that they can help baby regulate and knowing that it's not their fault, but just helping them bring more awareness to their own bodies. And we can do that by modeling with our bodies because sometimes we also are dysregulated in a consult, right? So it's all a huge feedback loop. But if we can really communicate with the parent and really take a moment to center ourselves, then baby will also likely follow.
If you enjoyed that snippet, the good news is that deeper dive was recorded. And by joining our membership community, you can have access to that deeper dive as well as our entire vault of deeper dives going back through 2020. You will also be automatically invited to our live monthly deeper dives, so you can ask the experts directly all the questions you want to know about that topic. We look forward to seeing you at our next deeper dive.